money. Okay, because I'm going to teach you how to manage your money and not let your money manage you. Bishop talked about living in lack and how God can't, what'd you say? What was it?
God can't supply lack.
God can't supply lack. So if we talked about speaking things as though they were, right? So if you're always saying, I'm broke, what's going to happen?
You're going to be broke.
Stay broke.
Amen. And when I'm talking to the kids, I say, Biggie used to say, y'all know who Biggie Smalls is? I know y'all ain't that spiritual where y'all know who Biggie Smalls is. But Biggie Smalls said in his first album, I'm Ready to Die. What happened?
He died.
Tupac used to always talk about death. What happened?
He died.
Does that convince you that speaking things into existence really works?
Yes.
So what'd you say?
Okay.
Tara, say that one more again.
I'm rich.
She said that what?
I'm rich.
But now you got to put the work behind it. You can't just say it, because faith without works is what?
Dead.
Amen. And anything dead need to be what? Buried. So we're going to talk about how to grow your money and not blow your money. We're going to talk about being a consumer to an investor. So if you guys don't know, I do invest. I flip houses, and I've had some investment property. I also, Bishop, close your ears, I invested in a dispensary that will be opening up in February.
Yeah, close my ears. I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear that. But I believe in, the Bible talks about, I'm not saying this is biblical, but the Bible talks about multiple revenue streams, right? So how does anybody know about that principle in Ecclesiastes?
Yes.
How many should you have? 7. How many people in here have 7 multiple revenue streams? Amen, Sister Linda. Amen, Bishop. So that means 98% of you in here do not have multiple revenue streams. So you have 1, as you do, Brother Donald? All right. Okay, right on. And you trying to get some more. I ain't mad at you. So how many people in here have 2? Okay, right on. How many people in here have 3 multiple revenue streams? 4. Oh, Vicky is a Jamaican. Vicky gonna keep her hand up the whole time. Vicky do Zumba, she teach classes, she work at AT&T. I'm like, Vicky, these kids is raising themselves, Vicky. She be at basketball games, she be getting her hair done by Julia. I'm like, where you at today? I'm gonna need you to sit down somewhere. She's on the AV team, she's on the board. I know your whole schedule, girlfriend. But the Bible talks about having multiple revenue streams. So if you really want to be serious about expanding your net worth, does anybody know what net worth is? What is that? Your what? Your value. Absolutely, it's your value. And let me just give you a statistic. African American net worth, does anybody know what the net worth, average net worth for an African American family is? Huh? Oh, because I just told you, right? Anybody else know? $2,000. But for our white counterparts, does anybody know what the average net worth for a white person is? It's over $100,000. So, but, you know, there's a reason, historically, discrimination, things like that, you know, the passing down of wealth and things like that. We didn't have wealth. Our grandparents didn't have wealth to leave to us. But we need to be able to have wealth that we leave to our children. Because what? When you know better, so then we need to be able to do better. It is a sin before God that we leave our children with nothing but debt. Papa was a Rolling Stone. That is a blasphemy. That's blasphemy. Because the Bible talks about leaving an inheritance, right?
Yes.
So what? Even if it's life insurance, you know, we shouldn't be doing GoFundMe's. If you're 60 years old, I can see if you got a child that's 9 and you didn't expect him to die, you still should have insurance on your children too. But if you're 60 and we can't bury mama and we got to do thank God we ain't got to do no car washing no more. Thank God for GoFundMe. However, GoFundMe is not insurance.
All right.
So we have to not only look at leaving a legacy for our children, but we have to build that now. And it's not, because a lot of people talk about, you know, when you talk to financial advisors, they talk about what to do in your retirement. How about I want to live fat now, right? So how do we create the life to where we're able to live our best lives and get everything we want right now? because you deserve it. So I want you to tell yourself, I deserve it.
I deserve it.
I know you said, brother, what's your name, brother? Brother Ken, he said he don't like to deprive himself. I ain't mad at you, brother. I'm not saying to deprive yourself, but create a situation where you don't have to deprive yourself. But you don't got to use credit to take care of yourself. You got the cash to be able to do it. So it's all about how do you grow your money and not blow your money. It's tax season, y'all. What you gonna do with your tax money? What you gonna do? Invest. Oh, you gonna buy your program? Yes. You gonna buy my program? Yes. But invest in yourself. Everything I've done, everything I do, I'm gonna tell my business, okay? I spent over $100,000 last year in personal development, okay, on myself. And I told my assistant Glenda this year, I said, this 2018 is the year of the reaping. I ain't spending another dime on personal development. But I can't get black folks to invest $97 or whatever into themselves. They want everything free, and then they want to say the devil took away from them when they don't want to work for it. So you have to change. Bishop talked about it so poignantly this morning. Shifting your mindset. But part of your mindset is investing in you. And that could be the time, that could be your resources, your education. Donald was talking about BitCurrency. There's a lot of information on YouTube and everything else on cryptocurrency. There's a lot of information out there. A lot of people making a lot of money. You have to find the time. Did you know there is a site that gives free training, all kind of free training? I forget the site, but you could pretty much get a college education online for free. Go out there and find it. But I understand that most people don't do it because most people don't know. But y'all know. And knowing is half the battle. Like G.I. Joe said. All right? Or Thundercats. Who was that? All right, so. I don't know. My kids told me to put this guy on here. Anybody know?
Fetty Wap.
Woo! Oh, you. Ooh, Fetty Wap. Y'all know. Bishop, they know who Fetty Wap is. I don't even really know who Fetty Wap is. My kids told me to do this. Because I normally talk about this to the young people. This is Fetty Wap. So who wants to be rich in here? Does anybody in here want to be rich? You want to be rich, Lady Tree? Hey! You want all the money. I'm going to show you the money. So I want to ask you, what are the pros of being rich? Freedom! That's it. Freedom. I said earlier, you can help more people having money than you can being broke, right? So when you start, because you guys are on your journey, and I really believe that with all my heart, when you get into that position where you have more, give more, do more. That's the only way it's going to continue to flow. Don't be so stingy, because God is not going to bless you in your stinginess. Don't be greedy either. So let's talk about the cons of being rich. Responsibility. Tell me about that, Sister Penny. You got to manage your money. Don't let your money manage you. Okay? So I talked about earlier football players getting rich and losing it all in 5 years. That's the average. Most football players will make millions and millions of dollars and lose it all in 5 years. Going back to what Bishop said, it is your mindset. Okay? So you have to shift your thinking. So the cons are, there's responsibility. What you gonna do with that money? So let's talk about being rich versus being wealthy, because Trina said, I want to be wealthy. What is being rich and what is being wealthy? So being rich, that's the accumulation of a lot of money, right? You may still have to work if you're rich, though. So you're rich, you make a lot of money, but you still gotta work. Guess what, y'all? I still gotta work. I make a lot of money, but I still gotta work, right? I'm not to a point where I'm wealthy, but I still have to work. And then it can be gone in a matter of time. So if you don't work, it stops coming, right? But when you're wealthy, it's also the accumulation of a lot of money. Your money works when you don't, and that's the beautiful thing about it. You could be on an island on Tahiti, and you still making money. that money is still growing, regardless if you're out there working or not, because you set things in place to where your money is just going, and you ain't got to work for it. People do that every day. People with nothing are doing that every single day. And guess what? You can too. You know why? Because you deserve it. I want you to get into your mind that you deserve everything that God has for you. You deserve it. God owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. That means everything is yours. But you have to shift your mindset to understand that you deserve everything that God has for you. Open to receive it. And then the third thing is you can leave a legacy, which is so important. It ain't just about you. What are your children? I heard a sermon that said, what are your children going to say about your name? I don't know my great-grandparents. Of course, you know, they didn't keep track of slaves back then. So we don't know what our history is, right? Did you? Great. They didn't keep track. Well, actually I do, because I studied on Ancestry.com. I know my DNA now, so I've reached, you know. But most people don't. Most African Americans, we don't. But again, because you know better, you have to do better. What are your grandchildren going to say about you? What were you able to leave to them? A lot of these people walking around with wealth is because of what was left to them. You have to be thinking more about just paying those bills every day. Just living day to day. Struggling in lack. That ain't a good place to be. Bishop talked about people divorcing because of money. That is a real reality. Because money controls your situation. But wouldn't it be beautiful if you were in a situation where you controlled the money and it didn't control you? Yes. Or your circumstances? Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing if you got to live and not have to worry about where your next bill was coming from? How many people have 6 months worth of savings saved up in the event of an emergency? So something happened, thank you. Something happened in a couple of months, you wiped out. You get into an accident, what happens? Wiped out. We got to get away from this lack and this scarcity thinking and living. And you can. I promise you, you can do it. I told you earlier, it's not about how much money you make. I made all this money. I was in my 20s, early 30s, and I ain't have nothing at the end of the month because I had more month than money. I had all this money coming in, but it sure was going out just as quickly. So who's in a better position? Me, making a bunch of money with no money left over, or that person who's making $50,000 a year and who's able to save? They're the smarter person. They're in a better position. I got more things, but what does that really mean? Bishop talked about when you have all these things, how are you able to receive God's blessings? I can't even go to the next level because I'm so full of stuff. Accumulation of stuff. So we're going to talk about the 3 key factors to wealth building. Does anybody know what leverage is?
Yes.
What is leverage? Donald?
I'm not aware that I know what it is.
Okay.
Something you have to get to another level.
Yes. Anybody else? It's called OPM. You down with OPM?
Yeah.
Say, yeah, you know me? Tell her, Bishop. Tell her, Bishop.
Yes, you use other people's money.
Amen. Use other people's money because you know what? Wealthy people, they don't use their own money.
Right.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
They ain't out buying. I have lots of wealthy clients. They are not out there and they have millions of dollars in the bank and they're still using leverage to build their wealth, to continue to build their wealth. If you've ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, this man took one investment, took the money from that investment, used his leverage and his credit to get the next investment. Used the leverage, he pulled cash out, got the next investment. The next investment. And now he's a multi-millionaire. He's showing other people how to do it, but that's basically the principle. Using other people's money. They're not paying cash. The banks are using other people's money, your money, to invest. While they're giving you, I looked at BBVA yesterday.
1% probably.
BBVA is giving me 0%.
You're kidding.
Kid you not. I said, ain't this about nothing? They're probably making, 5, maybe 10% while they're investing my money, but they're giving me 0% interest back. Everybody, wealthy people, use other people's money. I want you to get that in your head. So when you're investing, you're not paying cash, you're using other people's money. It's leverage. But I also want to talk to you about being a consumer versus being an investor. And this is so important, especially in this day and age, okay? Because if you look at what's going on in the political arena, we have this guy who's the president, and you could agree with his politics or not, and I'm sure most people in here don't. However, the thing that you have to understand is everything that you see that's going on is nothing new. It's just being exposed. This has been going on for years. President Lyndon B. Johnson said, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, you can pick his pockets. Give him something to look down on, and he'll give everything in his pockets. These people in politics, for them it's not about race. It's about money and power. They got us, little people around here, fighting with each other about race so that they can keep us confused so that they can maintain the power. It's all a game. So y'all thinking something new is going on with Donald Trump that's been going on for years. Here's the blessing in it all. God is exposing. This is God. I thank God Donald Trump is in office, really. Because it has people that's starting to wake up. We gotta wake up. We gotta get out of the mentality where we're receiving help, where we're dependent on the government, we have to be self-reliant. We gotta rely on ourselves, and we gotta rely on God to supply our needs. And move away from the system. But as long as you are relying on the system, you will never be in a position to where you're building wealth. Folks is waking up now. The Israelites were in bondage, 400 years? Right? African Americans in 1619 will have been in bondage or in America for 400 years. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. And I believe the scales are starting to fall off people's eyes and they're starting to see. But they just don't know the steps in order to take to get there. That's my mission. I want to show you everything I'm doing. But again, you got to work it. You got to put the action behind it. So how many people have Jordans up in here?
Well,
Bishop got 2 pair of Jordans. Darren's got some Jordans. Nobody else got Jordans? Okay.
There's a story behind mine.
No, there is a story behind the Jordans. Somebody made them get some Jordans. Anybody in here got an iPhone? Okay, I have an iPhone too. What? You got an iPhone, Elon? Get you. Anybody got any Gucci? Anybody got a Gucci bag? Hey! All right. Is it a real Gucci bag? Ooh, okay. I ain't clowning, I'm just saying. What about a PS4? I know your kids got PS4s, Xboxes, okay? So we have all those things. Everything up here, somebody in this room has something like that. And that's okay. I'm not saying it's bad to have. But I tell you what, I'm not going to get 3 jobs for my kids to have this.
Right.
Y'all know E40? Y'all need to get y'all mind in the Bible a little bit more. No, I'm kidding. But E40, the great philosopher from the Bay Area, said, he said, don't buy an $85,000 car before you buy a house. When I talk to younger people, when I show them this, I be like, what E40? They be like, tell me where to go. They don't even know the old E40. But this is a general principle that we should all have. But because, and I'm going to talk to you black people, African Americans, we love to wear our money. What is it about the mindset to where we like to wear our money? Why do we like to wear our money? Historically, we had lack, right? We want to show people we didn't came up. But we've arrived. We driving these Benzes and we going back to these apartments and we paying somebody's rent. Right? We have to change our mindset. from being a consumer to an investor. So I'm gonna talk to you about stock. And there's different ways that you can invest. You can invest in stock with as low as $20 to $50, okay? So there's things that you could do. You can go to Ameritrade, you can go to E-Trade, and you can buy stock. You could do micro investing. Does anybody know what micro investing is? All right, awesome. I talked about it on my live a couple of weeks ago. You don't have to have a whole lot of money or sophistication to start investing. You can invest with pennies. So what? There's a couple of different. There's a couple of different apps out there. Stash and Acorn to begin. You go to Acorn, and what it does is every dollar that you spend, it'll take the change and it'll invest it in some type of stock or a fraction of the stock. So every time you spend money, it'll invest the money for you. You just connect to your bank account. Easy. This is intro to investing. It's long term, but you're growing, you're doing something, right? Then you have Stash, where you can say, this is the type of portfolio I want to start investing in, and do it again with as small as $5 and start building from there. They made it so easy for you to start investing. It might be a couple of years, you might get, a couple $100. This is your intro to investing. This is to get that mindset wrapped around growing your money and not blowing your money, okay? So with your tax returns, I don't want to see nobody buy no TVs or no Jordans.
Right.
I need new furniture, but I can't get it right now because that ain't in the budget. I still got a budget, right? So make sure that you're putting your money in vehicles where it's going to grow, even in stock, even in real estate. I want you to think about that. So an investor spends money to make more money. So all of this, so if you have Jordans, you could have invested in 3 shares of Nike for what you paid for those Jordans. Did you know that? Think about it. Let's start buying things. Let's start buying companies. Because what stock is you having ownership in a company. You own a piece of that company. So instead of buying Jordans, buy Nike. Your money is going to grow in Nike. Instead of buying a PlayStation 4, buy Sony. Instead of buying an iPhone, and I'm not saying not to, but what you bought with that iPhone, you could have bought 5 shares of Sony stock, Apple stock. Okay? So look at that. Anybody got like Curry's up in here? Anybody like Steph Curry? Got some Bay Area people? No? So my son and my boys too. But for what you paid for those Currys, you could have bought 3 shares of Under Armour. Don't wear anything that you don't own. Okay? Don't wear anything that you don't own. So if you can purchase a fraction of that company, and you wearing that stuff, you out here wearing Louboutins, and you wearing all this expensive stuff that depreciates as soon as you take it out of the store, why not own a piece of that company? Shift the mentality. Change the game. Change the theme in 2018.
All right.
So, what should you invest when you're investing in stock? Now, I invest in stock. I do some day trading. I do some, I do the micro investing. Like I told you, plug your ears, Bishop. The cannabis thing, and I don't do drugs, but it's a great investment. You know the cannabis industry got the state of Colorado out of debt. Do you know there's 3? So this is going to be the 3rd dispensary in Stockton, and it's going to be opening up at UJ's. I ain't trying to tell y'all where the address is, because I know you guys ain't going to go over there, but I'm just telling you. But it's going to be the largest dispensary in Stockton, and the smaller ones make over $1 million a month. It's reported income. That's what's swiped. Okay? So this is going to be, the visibility is going to be great. Right there by Toys R Us. So we're going to see some action. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I ain't trying to give you an address. No. But I'm just saying, think about things that are going to really create a cash flow for you. Right? When the person called me and told me about it, I said, how much should I write a check for? Because I already knew that it was something that was going to create wealth for me. So think about that thing. And when opportunities come up, see, had I been spending, because this was money I had saved, had I been spending, this was over $100,000. If I wasn't saving, I wouldn't have had the money to put into it. So everything that come in don't gotta go out. Think about what you can save, and then when opportunities come your way, you can invest. But most people can't invest because they ain't even got 2 months worth of their bills. I'm gonna tell you how to start saving and growing. So, anybody know the story of the parable of the talents?
Yes.
All right, we got some church. We're gonna bring it back to church. Sorry, Bishop. So, I have 4 kids. Y'all know my kids, right? All right, I love them. I'm such a proud mom. I'm so blessed. But I had them take a stock class with Dr. Boyce Watkins. He has this little stock class for children. And so I said, look, you guys do this class. I'll give you $1,000 a piece so you can start investing in stock. And so Kyle, she was like, I guess she thinks she's rich. So she, if it didn't have nothing to do with social media, Snapchat or Twitter, she wasn't doing it, so she didn't do it. The youngest son, he wanted to do it, but his attention span, he has attention span of a gnat, so he ain't doing it. But the 2 middle ones, they wanted to do it, and my oldest son, he wanted to do it. So I gave him a week. He did it that day, and was so excited. So the parable of the talents. They give the money. He gives the talent, and he says, "What are you going to do with it?" And somebody brought back money, and what did he end up telling them? When the ones who didn't bring back any money, what happened?
The one he did?
That didn't bring back anything. Who buried it?
You
Right.
curse with the curse, but you unfruitful servant.
Right. Go away from me. Right. So my son, who really wanted to do it, I gave him the $1,000 to start investing. He opened up a Ameritrade account, and within a year, he grew his money just investing in stock. This is a 12-year-old boy to $5,000. From $1,000 to $5,000, because he started, researching and things like that. Because if you don't need $1,000, you can start very small, $50, $100. Just start researching. Google is your best friend. I'm telling you, get a full-blown education on Google. And you don't have to look to me, but there's things that you can start finding out. I just want to open your mind to the possibilities. Okay? So you can grow your money and things like that. And my 12-year-old son, he's 13 now, can grow his money from $1,000 to $5,000. Why can't you do it? He's not a genius. He's my genius. But you know what I'm saying? He's not like any smarter than any other child. And you don't got to give your child $1,000. You give him $50 and say, here, I'm going to invest in you. So I want to talk to you about collective economics. Does anybody know what collective economics are? Tell me. Pool funding. Thank you. And so there are many races who pool their funds together, right? You have Asians. Say that again.
Not the black race.
Say that one more time.
Not the black race.
You stepping on some toes now, because I'm going to tell you about that. So you guys ever heard the story of Black Wall Street? Who hasn't heard the story of Black Wall Street? Okay, good. So Black Wall Street, in the 1930s, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a section, Greenwood section of Oklahoma, where they had an area where it was an all-black area. It was a thriving community. There was over 600 businesses. They had banks, they had airports, they had a movie theater, they had churches, hospitals, they had a transit system. And the dollar, it took a year for the dollar to leave the community. They practiced collective economics. And what ended up happening was, white folks got jealous, came over there, killed a bunch of people, burned their houses down, looted their stuff, and there's even evidence that it was actually bombed by the government. Okay? We had situations even post-Reconstruction, if you guys know what post-Reconstruction is, after slavery, where there was a lot of these small towns where black people were thriving and building, and they practiced collective economics. And people got jealous, they came, took their land, things like that. So I went to Tulsa a few years ago for my husband's family reunion, and I always wanted to see Black Wall Street because I learned about it when I was about 18. And because they don't teach you this in school. So the reason why most of you don't know is because they don't teach it in school. But I went there, and these people have money. And they rebuilt after that. They rebuilt, I think about 200 businesses came back, or 300 businesses came back. But guess what destroyed it? Integration. Because now black people could do business with other people, and they no longer wanted to do business with each other. So I went down there, and there was a small little museum, and they fought. They didn't get their insurance. They had insurances. They didn't get paid out their insurances. Nobody, they didn't acknowledge it. Nothing. And so there was a gentleman that fought for years for them to get some type of restitution. Japanese people got restitution. Jewish people got restitution. We didn't get restitution for slavery. We didn't get restitution. You know what I mean? So we didn't get restitution. So they built this little museum that's about the size of the church. Little artifacts, nothing, But it was very heart-wrenching, and to see all the pictures and the things that the people had went through. Look, they had 6 private airplanes, libraries, hospitals, law offices, 30 grocery stores, banks, 21 churches. All no evidence of this right now. This is what these gentlemen look like. It was a thriving little town. So I said the circulation of the dollar was 1 year before it left the community. But I'm going to talk about what it is right now. Asian community, they buy within their community. So it stays in their community 30 days. Jewish community, it stays in their community 20 days. White community, but what does it say about black people?
Look out.
Have you ever heard the term, I don't do business with black people? Yes. I know everybody in here heard that from another black person.
Yes.
That is a shame. Because you pay us all, and I own a black business. I'm black, I own a business, but I don't just cater to black people. I have everybody that works for me. But to be painted with a broad brush based upon something that somebody else has done or somebody else's experience is a shame. And we should be ashamed of ourselves. And if you've ever said it, stop. So we keep our money in our community for 6 hours. So here's what it looked like when they burned it down. Now, did you see all that other stuff that was thriving? This was leveled at the end.
Wow.
And then there were stories I read where these white women came over and was looking through these houses and saying, these inns have better stuff than we do, while they was stealing out their furniture and setting their stuff on fire. Like the nerve of them. I ain't trying to make y'all mad. Then what they did with the victims is they put them in a little concentration camp. These are victims. These are the ones who still were living. So we have $1.1 trillion in buying power. How much do we spend in the black community? Slap yourself right now. $1.1 trillion in buying power. And you spend 2 cents. So you're going to be a consumer or an investor? Got to. And then you need to be intentional about how you spend your money. Because you deserve everything this world has to offer. So I have a